Hello and welcome to Re-enthused. Now, this was supposed to be an unboxing of a BBC Micro Model B. However, due to some interesting decisions made by FedEx, it's not. So, basically, this is something I got from a proper auction, like a proper physical auction, and it was delivered via mailboxes, and they put it into two packages. They took both those packages to FedEx, dropped them off at the same time in the same place, and then FedEx decided that they'd deliver one of the packages today and wouldn't deliver the next one until Monday, which is a little annoying. So, and obviously, sod's law being what it is, the package I got today is not the computer, it's everything else. So we'll go through the everything else anyway, and hopefully we'll get to do the unboxing sometime next week. So, yes, a BBC Micro. If you don't know BBC Micros, then it's an interesting machine made by Acorn, who were basically founded by Chris Curry, who was an ex-Sinclair employee who didn't like the way Sinclair was going with the computer market. And they kind of rushed a prototype ahead to get a deal with the BBC for their computer literacy program. And so the BBC Micro was born. Good machine, all in all. Not one I've ever owned. I've used them. I used them in school. I'm that old. But I've never actually owned one. So a lot of this stuff is new. Apart from a couple of things we'll go through when we get to them. Now, as it was primarily aimed as an educational machine, obviously the idea if you bought one for the home, your kids will be using the same thing they were probably using in school. There's a lot of educational stuff. So let's go through that stuff first. So there's this, which is basically, it's like a pamphlet. It's just like a home printed pamphlet, but it's pretty good quality print on the inside. And yeah, this is just lots of information about choosing educational computers and using them, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, so the guy, I'd say guy, the person who originally owned it, I think was probably a budding or starting developer as well. They've got the usual books. I've got several of these on the Sinclair Spectrum as well, which a lot of basic type-in games. A lot of machines had this, Commodore, Amstrad, Spectrum, they all had similar variants of these. There are in fact some books, I've got a couple of the books which cover most of those platforms, and they have separate programs for each one. Yeah, now this one shocked me. So, functional forth. Now, forth is a language. I've had to use it in the time, because I'm an old developer, so we had to be specialised in a lot of different languages. And so I have used forth. It's not my favourite language by any means. But yeah, interesting to see that. Yep, some easy programming for the BBC Micro. Again, this one goes into more in-depth development things as well, like program life cycles and stuff, as well as having some typing programs. Further programming for the BBC Micro goes into slightly more advanced topics. And now we get into where the guy was obviously progressing. I keep saying guy. I mean guy is a generic term, by the way. So, yeah, so beyond the basics. So this is starting to delve into the assembly language for the 6502. That's kind of interesting, actually. So I would like to learn 6502 assembler. I know Z80 assembler, so knowing the differences in 6502 will be very interesting. So this one's about basic graphics and sound in BASIC. Said basic twice there, but that's fine. One about connecting robotics and sensors to the BBC Micro. Because the other thing about the BBC Micro was it was very, very expandable. It had lots of ports on it for use to add parts on, because it's designed to be used in a computer lab. Interfacing to microprocessors, which is basically I keep saying basic a lot, which is a kind of generic how computers work, memory cycles and all sorts of things like that. So, yeah. How to tell the time. It's interesting, this one, because it's got lots of... Get it open. A very strange box, and it was ripped to begin with. So, if you... Other than the tapes, if we do this, it's got these little worksheets. So I'm guessing the parents could kind of give them tasks, or maybe the program gave them tasks, and 2 tapes as well. So that's interesting. Get that one to a minute. Microprocessor interfacing techniques. I think same as the other one. It's more about general purpose, how computers do stuff. And again, there's quite a few of these. So this guy was obviously doing a lot of computer science related things, and practical introduction to electronics. I own this book. Well, obviously I own it. I owned it before. I have it somewhere. Haven't used it in quite a while. Creative animations and graphics of the BBC Micro. Programming the 6502. Again, that'd be an interesting book to read because I would like to get into that. Oh, hello. Ignore that. That's for later. From Chips to Systems. Yes, this is another book I had in the day. So this was a very in-depth take on how microprocessors work and designed to give you an idea of how to create software systems. So how to interact with microprocessors and all sorts of things. It was a very good book, if I remember rightly. It was a long time ago that I owned it, though. So yeah, going on. Machine Code Tutor. There's a similar one on the Sinclair Spectrum for this as well. So yeah, a couple of tapes and brief manual. When I finally get a machine, I'll take a little whiz at that. Some more basic educational things, so word sequencing. So that's proper education. And then there's all these books, which are all basically junior learn to use computers books. Now this is interesting. So this is the user guide. Now, as I said, I never owned a BBC Micro. But I'm told this was quite this was a normal thing. So, yeah, the user guide, but obviously provisional copy. And inside, there's a brief note about how it's provisional and you'll receive a final one eventually. So apparently this was back the first release of the BBC Micro, and they were so basically unready. I've got to get away from saying basic. They were so unready that they were having to ship out effectively version 1 of the manual before it had properly gone through all the checks. Yeah, BBC Computer Magic. So that's a very early programming book. And this one. So I said about the BBC Literacy Programme, which is what the BBC Micro was created in conjunction for. And this is the book that accompanied it. So yeah, this is a real blast from the past. And whilst I didn't own a BBC Micro, we did work with BBC Micros at school. And so this book was actually at school. So that's really interesting to see that. Right, in terms of other stuff, there's Scrabble. I think every 8-bit machine had Scrabble. Kensington, I do not know what that is. It's a game, but I don't know what exactly it is. Red Arrow, which is a very simple arcadey flight simulator. And Bridge Master. So learn how to play bridge. Yeah, not really into that, but hey. There's another sign that the BBC Micro was supposed to be a kind of home machine with lots of different elements to it. So it wasn't just a games machine. It was designed to do all sorts of stuff. Which was, of course, ironically what Sir Clive wanted for the Sinclair Spectrum. He didn't want it to be a games machine. But everyone wanted to play games, because of course they do. You have a powerful machine that, well, for the time, that can display graphics. Games are definitely up there on the things that people want to see. Now, in terms of, productivity, there's a few few bits here. So, a book about creating graphs and charts. No, they're maths. I think that's one of the other ones, early learning maths ones. So these seem to be designed to go in a folder. Pico computer. A welcome guide. Motion. Is that physics? I think, yeah, it is physics, yes. Images. Electrical currents. So yeah, these look like they go in a folder somewhere to act as a kind of general educational thing. A bunch of electronics ones there. Interesting. So this is View, which was a word processor. I remember we had this at school. It was on an EEPROM. Don't know if that's the case on this machine. So they don't own it yet. Well, I own it, but I don't have it yet. Apparently a printer dump ROM. Don't know. Not an expert. So this is quite a heavy one. Hopefully this box will survive. There we go. Take away the PC Engine that was holding the box lid down. Yeah, so it also came with this giant box. It's quite a nice tape box actually. It's got this fold-up lid here. And you can see there's all the cables. There's a tape cable, there's a SCART lead in there, a couple of connecting leads. There's also some components. Now, I'm guessing, looks like the guy was doing some projects. That's a potentiometer. Interesting. That's some old style electronics right there. Oh, hello. That is a giant potentiometer. So yeah, it's obviously doing some electronic component things there. There's also a whole bunch of components, which are going to be really hard to show you. So yeah, there's a whole drawer here, and it's just full of components, things like this. So joystick assemblies. So I guess that's what he was trying to do there. Some ZIF sockets. So obviously to span the BBC. A couple of EEPROMs, word-wise, and one that just says dump, so maybe that printer dump one, or maybe just a dump ROM, who knows. A few spare chips, and a load of components like resistors and more chips, a relay, 25, what looks like a, don't know, a large adapter, port adapter. I'm not going to count the pins. And a bunch of LEDs and stuff as well. So I don't know if they were spares for the BBC Micro or just for his hobbyist work. I guess hobby work. But interesting all the same. But yeah, now the main part of this, it's this whole bunch of tapes, which we're not obviously going to go through. But there's a few bits of software in there. Obviously it's the 80s, so there's all these copied games because it was the 80s. And yeah, a whole load of educational stuff. A few of the tapes for some of those educational things, like the Pico computer tape. There's another bunch of tapes down here. This one just won't quite open. There's just a lot of copied tapes again. And we just 16-bit guys never did have anything on us for copied games. These are mostly copied, apart from we seem to have all of the tapes for those little educational pamphlets, the ones that look like they go into a folder. Oh, and a head cleaner, demagnetizer. Very much doubt that will still be functioning. I would imagine that is dry now. I guess you could probably revitalise it with something. Oh God, can't you come? Yeah, so that's mostly just those educational ones. A few more copied tapes in there. So yeah, it's an interesting bundle. Go on, here we go. Good enough. There's one more thing. Where did I put it? There it is. You can't have a 8-bit machine without the tape player. So a nice Radio Shack. Oh, a TRS-80 branded tape player. Interesting. Never noticed that. So yeah, there's the one more thing, the thing you saw briefly fly into space, is plainly the person who got the auction from progressed to PCs, because there also is just randomly included a load of Creative Labs manuals. No Creative Labs stub, just the manuals. Yeah, so an interesting collection, and there is a BBC coming, which I will be, well, when it comes, I should be able to do an unboxing on it anyway. And I will obviously be checking the power supply before we turn it on, because the BBC Micros are, they're well known for having the power supply breakdowns, so it's always best to check the capacitors and also the voltages before you actually try to use them. But that, hopefully upcoming. Now this whole thing, with postage it cost more, which is bad. The postage was quite expensive. But if it was just the auction alone, this was way cheaper than any price I'd seen on eBay. So the actual live auctions they're really a good place to get it, especially if you can go and actually collect the item. You don't have to bid for the item live. I use the-saleroom.com to bid on live auctions. You can set up a load of searches as well, and they just email you every day with anything that matches the keywords. Although their keyword searching is a little iffy. I've had a search in there for oscilloscopes, and it comes back with the weirdest stuff. Not one oscilloscope yet. But it's, if you go to collect it, you'll probably save quite a lot of money on eBay prices. All of this stuff, including the BBC Micro, and I think there's probably a couple of other things with the BBC Micro. I think there's a couple of other things as well. Costs 60 quid, which much cheaper than eBay. But with the delivery costs, it ends up being more expensive. So yeah, if you can collect it, you'll definitely save money. If not, then possibly not. The QL, which I also got from an auction, I saved a lot of money on that. The whole thing, including postage, was about 80 quid. Way cheaper than any auction I've seen on eBay. And it's basically working. The first tape drive has the first micro drive has a bit of an issue that I have to fix, but we'll get around to doing that. So yeah, that's it. This is quite a nice little haul. There's some interesting stuff which I'm going to be looking through, because it's all a bit of a blast from the past, really. May not have had the BBC Micro, but it's all rings bells back from being from school and the stuff we had there. Right. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like. If you really enjoyed the video, please hit subscribe. If you didn't enjoy the video or you have something else to say, then please leave a comment below. See you next time.